Welcome back to Let's Talk Race and Modern. I'm your host, Harrison Paul. We got a sticky one here, but a quite interesting topic I want you guys to stick with me on. Nigerian sprinter Favour OfiIi will not compete in 100-meter race at Paris Olympics because of administration failure. She tweeted, "It is with great regret that I have just been told I will not compete. I will not be competing in the 100 meters at this Olympic Games. I qualified, but those with the AFN, and the NOC failed to enter me. I have worked for 4 years to earn this opportunity. For what? Please remember, in the last Olympic Games, I was not able to compete because of AFN, NADC, and NOC failed to release funds for athletes to be tested, which made 14 Nigerian athletes that qualified to not compete. Now this." And I'm going to read out the comment that I left on the Shade Borough, and then I'm going to further elaborate on that. "Black people in here perpetuating the narratives about our homeland, and then will protest next time the world treats you like an orphan. We have to be protective over our family issues." I meant protective there. "At the heart of Africa's problems is low morale and low self-esteem due to its generations of global interference. No country will operate like a world superpower if it is spiritually and systematically broken by its global bullies. I understand this is a disappointing and even embarrassing for us. We must also remember to put our tears on schedule and attend to our first responsibility as Africans, which is to always protect Africa from the imposed false narrative, which is Black folk are inherently incompetent and corrupt." Now, my brothers and sisters, I want to talk to you about self-determination. I want to talk to you about protecting your race. If there is one thing that I've noticed about white people, it bothers me a lot, but I'm going to say it. You got to learn even from the things that they do that bother you, that you could probably learn to do better. And it's a quite tricky one, because you'd be saying, well, if you believe it's wrong when they do it, then why don't you do it? Just see what I'm getting at here. A white person will always say, take it from someone who has this conversation all the time, "I would like to imagine that it's only a minority of people who are racist." Always. Whether you're talking to an Irish, whether you're talking to a British, whether you're talking to, it's only a minority. I was even talking to an Irish person who is now in Australia and told me, we don't have that here. This desire to protect their race, and not just protect their race, because of course they can criticize their governments, they can criticize corruption, they can criticize whatever they see, but whenever outsiders want to have a narrative about them, so whenever they notice a certain gossip around there, they have this automatic reflex to protect themselves, to protect their race, to defend the next person. That is why we get so frustrated and we are suffocated with white people always say, "Are you sure?" We can never be believed. "Are you sure that person meant it?" Maybe you didn't. I remember one of the fights that I had to cut one friend off, said, "Oh, I know so-and-so. He can't be racist." And I don't even think he was that close with that person. It's that protection for my race, for you to perceive my race in this light. Very few of them will accept the fact we got work to do. Our societies here in the West are absolutely not up to par when it comes to racism. Whether it's a person who is doing it overtly, whether it's people who are doing it covertly, racial biases, all the sorts. They are so good at protecting. And what happened to the black man, and I always say this, when he went through colonization and slavery and all that entails, meaning the narrative, you're good for nothing, like I said, you're inherently corrupt, you're not even civilized, you're at one point you weren't even a human being. So all these narratives, it became easy for the black man to talk down on himself. I had a friend who was telling me, we kill each other, we do this to each other, and I know black people who kind of want to do right by, just life in general, always feel this burden that, these people are ruining our name. So you think the way to go about it is to out them and be like, But what you're forgetting is that they're only echoing what has been beaten in them for hundreds of years. Beaten in them during slavery times, beaten in them during colonization times, beating them in modern day, through the media, through everything. The black man's a criminal. The black man's dangerous. So you're forever on a treadmill, earning your right to be an individual. You're literally working every day as a black person to earn your right to be an individual. What I'm trying to get at here is I'm not trying to say that we should not criticize and desire more for our race and desire more from our politicians and desire more from those who are in charge in Africa. And I think people get this wrong about me. I've had a few debates with people of like, are you saying we're not corrupt? No. I'm saying the abuser has managed to get away for so long because he's been able to embed himself in a corruption that he created. Please hear me. Wherever there's lawlessness, and this is what I said in this comment section, more lawlessness will permeate. I don't know where you think, if I interfere with elections, if I'm the West and I want to interfere with elections, and I place people there that will benefit me, I haven't placed the best of the best. I have placed crooked people. And why I know it's placement, guys, is because there seems to be this undescribable spirit of self-destruction that Africa seems to have. That seems to be self-imposed. I seen one girl, she did a post, it was so good. She goes, what is this thought that Africans just woke up and decided, I want to make my life harder? Let me wake up and decide what way I can make my life harder. Oh, brilliant. Let me just decide that. I'm actually going to put it on the screen for you guys to see it. I really like this video. Check this out.
Why are you, as an African person, not looking into what is happening in Sudan? Why are you not looking into what is happening to Congo? You feel comfortable coming online talking about how Africans are the ones creating their own problems. There must be a demonic spirit deceiving you. There has to be a white demonic spirit in your life, because Africans just woke up one day and decided, oh, let's make our lives miserable. That's the best thing we could do. Like, we don't have enough things to worry about, we don't have enough people to fight against. It's the pain, we just want to inflict pain upon ourselves. Pick up a book, turn the TV on, watch some YouTube videos, educate yourself, free yourself from the mental colonization today. Let me pray for you in the name of our ancestors to free you from the shackles of mental colonization.
So when this is imposed, it is only going to create as low morale, a low self-esteem. You ever see a person who is, take someone who's not in the right state of mind. Let's say someone who's going through any form of an abuse or anything like that. There comes a place where they're not looking after themselves. They've lost that dignity, that they've lost that love for self. They've lost that self-preservation and that sense of like, I care about how I'm perceived when I step out my door. You ever, and obviously we notice women, women who've been going through abuse, went through a point where they even let themselves go. Wouldn't even, just in this low place. It doesn't mean that relationship that the woman in was not abusive. It doesn't mean that she deserved abuse. It doesn't mean that she is her own abuser. It means the life has been sucked out of this woman so much that even now, coming to put on your own clothes or go about your own business, it's permeating. You're reflecting your low self-esteem. You're reflecting that low self-respect. So a lot of the issues that I see within Africa is this sense of Africans, dare I say it, the grown men, but they don't take themselves seriously. They don't take their nation seriously. This might sound so deep and profound, but how I know Africa's situation is interference, because if I'm a man, every man has this in them. If I'm a man and I go and have meetings with other world leaders, think of those meetings like a car show. Billionaire, successful man. You want to turn up to that car show and show them, my business is running better than yours. That is just human nature as a man. That my business is running better. So when these world leaders meet, there is a masculinity that has been snatched out of the African leader. That he has accepted his stance when up against Prince Charles or King Charles. Accepted his stance against the UN. Accepted his stance against America. That is not even human nature within a man. Just even from my dignity. Never mind, you guys think that money is that big. I would at least want, when I shake hands with Trump, who I think may be the next president, when I shake hands with King Charles, when I shake hands with whatever, I want you to come to my backyard and say, can you hear that engine? You see how she runs? This is how you run a country. And surely world leaders have this when they come, Macron and all those boys. Surely, and I know it even in politics, they always nod at each other's countries and say, you watch your business, you watch your own. Because we're seeing the mess that's happening. So where has even that dignity been snatched from Africa? That's how I know it is an emasculation of Africa. They're completely emasculated, there's no strength in it. And even a normal man, even my son, would walk in a room and want that little bit of dignity. And he's a boy. Just turned 5, actually. Even my son wants to hold himself together. Even my son likes when you tell him he looks good. Where is that gone for Africa? That's when I know we are in a battered woman syndrome. That we cannot even seem to have that increment of, because I don't think it's as simple as don't sell Africa. I think, I've said this in previous episodes, you're in such a conundrum. You take your lousy 5 billion. You don't even believe you have the brains to come out the webs that have come over Africa's minerals. And I want to conjoin 2 points here. Point number 1, at the next clip I'm going to play for you. More evidence about the exploitation of Africa. As if you guys didn't already know. But another angle I want you to see this from. These people don't talk about these things. Here again is what I'm talking about. This prioritizing self. They don't talk about how they exploit Africa. They don't talk about their wickedness. This is why I want to tell conservatives and Republican parties or Tory parties here in the UK, anything like that, or even Ireland, you are caught up in their determination to protect themselves and their name to the detriment of even your own cause. That's how self-determined they are. Now, you can be self-determined and you can be honest. They are completely dishonest. But I think there's something admirable that they don't want to address the past. They don't want to address how it may have affected the future. Whether you go to South Africa with Elon Musk and the apartheid heads there, no matter where you go, why doesn't the African have that? African is so quick to tell you how crap he is, how crap the Africans are, how crap Africa is, and then with the same tone, want to pop up and say, oh, I like music, or that's what I tell you. Cut that rubbish out where you think because you like African music and African food, it's called being self-determined. Self-determination is like your child. You don't like no one talking about your child in any type of way. That's why I said about white people, they'll always be like, oh, I'd like to imagine. Nowadays, I look at them, I say, can you just step back for a second, please? That's my place. Whether or not Ireland is or the UK is racist or not. That's my place. I live that. Yeah, but I'd like to imagine most people, majority of people are not like, I'm telling you that's a lie. So watch this clip here, guys. Very, very interesting.
Bringing American capital and expertise and standards to Africa so that we can keep exploiting, so that we can exploring where we can get these minerals.
Exploiting. He said the quiet bit out loud. Then nobody talks about this, guys. Shout out to Kalani for saying free Congo on her lady's tiny desk. Nobody wants to talk. I'm learning how they oppress. I'm learning how they slavery? What slavery? A long time ago. We just stopped that. We're not talking about slavery just because we're talking about it. We are getting to the root of why we have so much dysfunction in our current day. A lot of people wonder if I'm stuck in the past. When you go on a journey of trying to understand why our world is the way it is, you end up looking down the pipeline and understanding some things better. Slavery? What slavery? Colonization? Oh, a long time ago. Oh, that's something. But ask an African to tear down Africa. Oh, yeah, we're stupid anyway. Oh, we're doing this anyway. Africans are crap anyway. Just long list of how the Africans are just crap. And in the same tone, I love being black. You don't. And we have to learn to watch our mouth about the very things we know people want to say about us. About the very things people know that we know the world have that narrative about us. Unintelligent, incompetent, corrupt, uncivilized. So don't you dare let them catch you perpetuating that. Let that be your self thing. I've talked to some loved ones who told me, oh, Africans is just stupid. I'm sorry, I can never do that. I love Africa, so I can never do that. And I will never let anybody catch me doing that. That is what you call a result of history. That freedom just to discard your people because you were discarded like rubbish. Discard. You wonder why it comes out like butter for you. To say, niggas be doing, niggas, I just want to mess with niggas, niggas. You wonder why. It's your father, it's your master who taught you. Your master taught you. You're rubbish in everything. He taught you that. Now, in this new age, he's nice to you a little bit. And you think, so naive. Another thing I'm going to tell you. A United States embassy official ran over an 11-year-old girl in Zimbabwe recently, only in June. He killed her. The girl died. He has not been back to Zimbabwe since. You will not find American news report on it. You will not find them talk about it. Girl has died, Zimbabwean girl. What is it? It doesn't mean nothing. I'm telling you guys, you think Africa's problems start with a bunch of leaders. It starts with the self-determination of a country, of a people. Ain't no way a black man's gonna, an African official's gonna come here and run over a little bitty white girl and think he gonna pop on with the rest of his day like nothing happened. Only black people. What is that spirit? That same spirit in us, that is the same spirit that runs our governments. Is the same spirit that is even in everyday African. We have to restore that spirit. And until we do that, everything will flow. This is why I do this, but everything you flow, you name it, businesses, governments, because we have that same thing white people have where it's like, well, we just protect ourselves. We just protect the nation. We just protect Africa. There's a new clip of that comedian going to Africa and saying, wow, look, there's a grocery store here. I'll put up on the screen for you guys to see a grocery store here. Now, I thought maybe she's being sarcastic. Maybe she knows that people look at Africa like, but at the same time, I'm not going to give the benefit down and say, even if I didn't think there really was, let's hold it down for our people. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, just to end this off very swiftly and very nicely, I have this clip of this geezer, and he is telling you what I'm sure you've heard from a lot of people, even from the nicest white people. Take a listen to this, guys.
There is no racism in the UK. There simply isn't.
Gaslighting to his finest. I know something in me tells me he really believes that. Something tells me he really believes that. This is the people who can colonize the world, guys. You think I want a Nigerian guy tell me what Africans are doing. We're not building anything. We're not building. Shut up. You can't build nothing. Look at this kid. Look at this. Where's the racism? That's for your race. It's engraved in all of them. I only have a select few of white people who I know who can be honest like that. Select few. And say, listen, I know my race is really slacking. But built in all of them. I don't want to call it this, but for a lack of a better term, for the argument, it is death before dishonor. For all of them. Point blank. Before I give that to you and let you know, because I know already the narrative around my people, before I just hand that to you, I'm going to deny it first. I'm going to lie to you first. Or maybe I'm going to try and believe it as much as I can. So we go back to the sister before we close off. Everyone in here, let me read some of the comments here. This is how African athletes and end up representing other countries. This is why Mbappe represents France. Go where you're valued. Nigeria has potential to be a global juggernaut in all areas, but nah, leave it to corruption to do its work. Why don't Africans just this? And you know, the same tone, there we go again. Aren't we just rubbish? Then you're going to be crying saying, no justice, no peace. Nigeria is a failed state. That's the long and short of it. Just this constant. That's it. Yeah. When you study this, you understand this is that tone. I'm not talking about it's that tone. There we go again. We're just corrupt, aren't we? That's just us. There we go again. Story of our lives. We're just not luxurious like the West. You think these people are not corrupt? These people are going to call their people corrupt. But I bet you one thing. if all of Nigeria were calling England corrupt, all of our news, all of our everything calling England corrupt and calling Boris Johnson, calling all these European countries corrupt, I can bet you they'll hop on that defense. No, we're not corrupt. Just so you don't get to say it. Just so you don't get to say it. And that's what they do with race. Just so you don't get to say it, we're going to say there's no racism at all. That's just one incident. Isolated incidents. How much isolated incidents do we have to go through our life for you guys to understand the isolated incidents are way too frequent for it to be a minority? Isolated incident has to be an isolated incident. Too many isolated incidents makes it a majority. Walking through your life experiencing all types of forms of racism, whether it be overt, no longer makes it a minority. We gotta learn from these folk. And until we get that spirit, forget money, forget businesses, forget everything. This care for ourselves. That's why we be on Twitter talking black men this, black women this, black men this, tearing each other down, black women. I've never seen white men and white women on Twitter saying, white women, you do this, picking out those little bitty things. We can just rubbish each other on the net, rubbish each other, government, rubbish each other everywhere. It's a spirit that was put in when we were enslaved and colonized, of just a lack of respect and value for ourselves. And then we talk out two sides of our mouth. Then we like ourselves because, look, Afro music to the world. Shut up. Shut up. Sorry. Shut up. Shut up. Sorry, I gotta go. Gotta go. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe.
And I'm on a mission for you.